All right, hey, what's up guys? It's Roy here, and in this video, I want to talk about the Filworld LUT 5. So I wanted to get a new film monitor for my Sony a6400 because my little flip-up screen just hasn't really been cutting it when I'm outside or standing a little bit further away from my camera. Now, don't get me wrong, I am blessed to have this camera that has a flip-up screen because there's a lot of cameras out there that don't, but now that I've been on YouTube for a couple years, I really want to step up certain things to make my video experiences a little bit better for the viewers. And I think one big thing is to make sure that I'm in focus, make sure that the background looks good, and just make sure the video doesn't look crappy. And having a film monitor, I think, does take it to the next level when it comes to video recording, because now you got this big, beautiful screen that's way bigger than the one that's on your camera, and then you can make sure everything's in focus, looks good, and really the quality of that field monitor is important because I bought one from Neewer that was a 7-inch screen, and I bought it on Facebook from someone used, and I've not used that thing at all hardly because it sucks. I don't like it at all. The screen's not great. It doesn't get bright outside. So in reality, it's just been sitting in a drawer back here for probably a year now. So leads me to the LUT 5. So when I was on Amazon, I wanted to find something in the mid-level range as far as price goes. So this one comes in at $269. Now there is an instant $20 off thing that you can do at checkout on Amazon. So for $249 to get this with Prime shipping in my Fort Worth area in Dallas, Fort Worth, I got overnight shipping. So that's pretty big. Now to talk about the screen a little bit, it is a 5.5 inch, like I said, screen. It's a beautiful flat screen, looks great. It's touch screen, but there is a scroll wheel that you can actually just scroll through the menus if you wanted to. And you can turn the touch feature off if you want to. That's totally up to you. But what comes inside the box actually is some pretty nice stuff. So you get an adjustable hot shoe mount with the hex wrench, so you can kind of angle it and change that up, you know, and get it customizable. One thing I do like about the hot shoe mount though is at the bottom there's like teeth that extend out to make it a little bit easier to actually unscrew and tighten, because in the past with some cheaper models that I've bought, the hot shoe mount was just the normal kind of like with the little teeth in it, and if I got it too tight, it was almost damn near impossible to get undone without using some sort of you know, needle nose or something like that. But with this one, I do just want to compliment the design of the hot shoe mount. Now you also do get a HDMI cable inside of it, so it's HDMI to micro HDMI, which I can plug directly into my Sony a6400, which is great. Now it does obviously show on the screen at 1080, but you can support in 4K, like I'm recording in 4K and it's displaying on the screen just fine. But obviously the max res on this is 1080 on the screen itself, but it looks good when it comes in, guys. Like, it's very crystal clear, almost like if I'm watching it on my 4K monitor back here. Another great thing about the monitor itself is that it does have HDR support. So basically what you're seeing on the screen is what you're gonna see on a monitor when you're in video editing mode and all that. There is LUT support, so you can put custom LUTs on here. You can do S-Log, you can do some different Canon LUTs. So that's pretty cool because depending on what you're recording in on your camera, you can change it to mimic what you want to see when you're recording on your external monitor. So that's pretty cool. But I don't think I've talked about the most probably impressive thing about this screen, and that is that it gets up to 3000 nits when it comes to screen brightness. So it's an extremely ultra bright screen in direct sunlight. And to give you an idea, guys, like my OnePlus 10 Pro or like my Samsung Galaxy S22 or any new flagship phone, they get extremely bright in direct sunlight. You know, you're talking 1200 nits, something like that. So this screen gets 3 times brighter than that. That's pretty insane because I never have issues looking at my screen outside on my phones, but I did have issues looking at my screen outside on my flip-up camera, as far as the flip-up screen on the camera, and also on that newer 7-inch that I had because it didn't get super bright. This one, I can literally leave it at like 50% and it's bright. Like, I don't have any issues seeing anything on this screen out in direct sunlight. So that's pretty awesome. The other thing that comes in the box though, which was pretty cool, is it does have this really nice carrying pouch, which I actually have right here. It's this hard carrying pouch here, which a bunch of stuff just fell out. That's awesome. But it's a hard carrying pouch. It zips up nicely, has a really nice rugged handle. So if you want to take it on the go with you, then obviously that's provided, and that's a pretty cool feature. So inside the box as well, you do get a battery and a USB-C charging cable. So the battery itself doesn't come with like a wall-mounted charger, which it's kind of odd because on Amazon it said it did, but it didn't, but whatever. But there is a USB-C port on the battery itself, so you can actually plug it in a wall, and there's some LED indicators on the battery to let you know when it's fully charged. So I guess I'm okay with that. But it would have been nice to be able to have a battery charger in the box that I could plug into the wall instead. Now it does take NPF Sony batteries, which is great. So any NPF battery will fit on the back of this because it does have the F970 slot on the back. And then next to the battery portion is also another F970 slot where you can actually mount another battery if you wanted to, or you could do like a wireless transmitter or an LED light or whatever. But to power that, you can actually just mount it next to it. And that's pretty nice that you have that extra slot to be able to basically put whatever you want on there almost, it seems like. And also the monitor does have a DC outlet where you can plug it in to your camera or whatever and power it from the monitor itself, which obviously then that's going to drain the battery down on your monitor, but that's up to you if you want to use that or maybe the extra one while you're out on the field. So on the left side of the monitor, you do have two HDMI ports, so one HDMI in and out, and then a headphone jack, and they both support up to 4K 30 frames per second. On the top, we do have a scrolling wheel for the menu like I mentioned earlier, so you can go through the whole entire menus with that, or you can use the touchscreen features, which you can turn on and off with the power button and hold it, and that will disable the touch, or you can hold it again and re-enable it. I find that starting with the scroll wheel and then continuing to just touch the screen has been kind of how I've been using it, but that's totally up to you. Now, if you do just push the screen or the wheel, it will bring up your shortcut menu at the bottom, which you can configure. I haven't done that yet, but I will eventually reconfigure it a little bit. But there you can, change the, screen quality. You can do, if you want like the autofocus, or excuse me, the focus grid. So to help you get in focus a little bit more, the histogram, all those things, you can totally do all that with your shortcuts. And then there is also an SD slot where that also is where you can actually download your firmware updates, load it on an SD card, put it in, and then update the screen with any firmware updates if there is any that are available. And then on the right side, there is just a 1/4 thread point there, and then just some vents and stuff for the fan, because with this monitor, obviously that heat inside needs to go somewhere. So throughout the monitor, there are little vents basically, and there is a fan that is blowing in here that you can't disable from my understanding, but you can decrease like the fan at least as far as how fast you want it to blow. It does get a little loud, which that's probably really the only knock that I have on the fan volume, is that if you're not using like a wireless mic like I'm using, and you have like, say for example, like some sort of mic mounted on your camera, it might actually pick up the fan noise from the monitor, but I doubt it. But once again, I've seen videos where people talk about the fan issues and then say it's not a big deal. For me, so far, it hasn't been a big deal because a lot of times I'm not using a mounted mic on top of my camera, but just wanted to bring that little tidbit up. So the only real big issue that I have with a field monitor, and that's field monitors in general on my Sony a6400 and pretty much any Sony mirrorless camera, is that when you're recording in 4K versus 1080, you do lose some features. So for example, when you're shooting in 4K on a Sony camera and using an external field monitor like I'm using, you don't get any information on the screen. So the only thing that you get is what comes on the monitor itself. So you get a clean HDMI output or clean 4K look of the screen, but that's it. I don't get any of my info from the screen that I would normally get from the flip up screen on my Sony. Now, if I go in 1080, then I do get it all. I get everything. It basically replicates the screen, but it does black out the screen on the Sony, and it displays on the camera's external monitor that I have plugged in, or the Filworld LUT 5 here. But on the 4K version, it just shows the screen, but it leaves the monitor on as far as the flip up screen goes on the camera. So that's really the only knock that I have. You do lose complete face autofocus, or at least the ability to do that, but in 4K, like right now, the autofocus is just fine. So it hasn't been a real big issue for me, but I do know that it is disabled technically when you're shooting 4K with an external monitor. But that's really all my issues that I have with it. This monitor's been great, guys. I love it. I definitely look forward to using it more and more. The size, I think, is the right size as far as being a 5.5-inch screen. It's that middle sweet spot, I think. But you let me know, what field monitor are you using? Have you used the LUT 5 or anything from Filworld, and what are your experiences with it? So I hope that you got some value out of this, and if you did, make sure to hit that like button, and then obviously subscribe. And I hope you have a blessed day and come back for more. So take care and God bless.